All right, the last section of chapter 4 is about the cytoskeleton. Back in ninth and 10th grade bio, we talked a little bit about it, but we really didn't get in depth. We're going to get a little bit more in depth and see a couple different types of cytoskeletal structures within the cell. But again, this is just, you have to know the kind of a broad understanding of the cytoskeleton moving forward. The cytoskeleton is made up of a bunch more proteins. Again, we harp on proteins a lot because they do make up a large portion of our cells. They maintain the shape and they assist with movement within the cell. We're going to see some motor proteins moving different organelles around and just packaging up and sending things throughout the cell. I can't tell you how complex these cytoskeletons are. Once you get into cell molecular biology in college, you do dive deeper into these cytoskeletal structures a little bit more. But one thing I do want to make sure you guys understand, these are dynamic structures, which means they can change, move. They can be broken down, built back up as the cell needs. So these are pretty versatile molecules that we use within the cell. We're going to talk about 3 different parts of the cytoskeleton, starting with actin fibers. They are the smallest. You can see here they're about 7 nanometers in length or in width. Then we're going to talk about microtubules, which are a little bit bigger, around 25 nanometers. And then we'll also talk about intermediate filaments, which are between the 2 here. So there's 3 different sizes that we're going to talk about, and they all have different structures and functions within the cytoplasm. One of the types of cytoskeletal structures are called microfilaments. They're also called actin filaments from time to time. But these are just 2 chains of actin monomers. We talked about monomers and polymers. You can see here the actin on the diagram. When you put them together in the 2-chain kind of fashion, it becomes a microfilament. We're going to see myosin and other motor proteins walk along these guys. Again, these are more used for structural support, but they're also used for moving things around. Our next cytoskeletal structure is known as intermediate filaments. Again, they're intermediate between the actin fibers and the microtubules. These guys are a little bit larger in length, so about 8 to about 12 nanometers in length. They do have more monomers. Again, you can see this fibrous subunit. I'm not going to ask you about the monomer and polymer for each one of these cytoskeletal structures. I'm just showing you here different structures and functions of the skeleton. One of the things here, these guys are more static, so they don't really move. They don't really are restructured. They're kind of more set in place. A perfect example here is keratin. You can see how much keratin is in the cell. It's a very abundant protein within the cell. So these guys really just anchor things in place. Last cytoskeletal structure are microtubules. These are the largest. They're going to be made of something called tubulins. These are the monomers. Put together, these make the microtubule. These are a little bit larger in length. They're about 25 nanometers wide. They really help with the structure, but they're going to create trackways for these motor proteins we're going to talk about here in a second. We're going to show you. In class, I'm going to show you a video. It's a pretty cool looking video. It's a favorite video of students from previous years. These guys are like the highways of the cell. Let me show you what runs on them. We call them motor proteins. And I know these guys look like made up, but they're actually in each one of your cells. They're going to help vesicles travel around the cell. And yes, they do look like that. They do function, and they look and appear this way, and they walk on these microtubules like a highway. So what do you have to know about cytoskeletal structures? I would like you to know the 3 different types and know that they and their order of getting increasingly larger. I'm not looking for you guys to memorize the individual monomers of each. I just want you to show you, again, this is David Goodstill's image of the cell. The cytoskeleton is very dynamic. It's very, very complicated. We're not going to get into the complexity here, but just understand that, again, complexity increasing, cells are becoming more and more diverse and more just intricate. And when we're looking at these special parts a little bit more, so that there is just a lot of complicated structures in here. So I want you to, again, stop thinking that the cells are very simple and they have these nice little happy organelles. They are very complex with their structure and their functions.